Hey, this is Mitch. Welcome back to the Life Story channel. If you like the story you're about to hear, please hit the like button. If you enjoy a good humorous or inspirational story, subscribe to the channel. And if you know somebody who enjoys a good humorous or inspirational story from time to time, please send them my way. Here at the Life Story channel. So I used to live in San Diego, California with my wife and my 2 children. I worked for a data company that specialized in real property public record data. And I was a data analyst, and it was my job to help teach our customers how to use the data and how to look for certain conditions in the marketplace based on conditions of the data. We lived on my income alone, and my wife stayed at home with the children. We decided, the 2 of us, a long time ago that it was more important to have someone stay home with the kids and help raise the kids rather than have 2 incomes and send the kids to daycare. We figured it was a system that worked for humanity for millennia and had produced pretty good results. We thought we would give it a whirl. So living on 1 income in San Diego is a pretty tough gig. San Diego is a beautiful town, but it's extremely expensive, and so we were literally losing about $2,000 a month between increased credit card debt and money we were taking out of savings just to be able to survive. And it got to a point where it was no longer tenable to do that. And so I went to my boss one day and I asked him if it was possible to work remotely. I told him it was just too expensive to live in San Diego, and I would prefer to stay with the company and work remotely. But if I couldn't work remotely, I would have to find work in a part of the country that was more affordable. And so they apparently valued my work and my knowledge enough to rather keep me as a remote employee than to see me leave, and so they allowed me to work remotely. So my wife and I decided to move to Columbus, Ohio. She went about a week before I did and stayed with some friends with the kids. And I took the Jeep and some trailer with some possessions and drove it across country to Columbus. And I got to Columbus and I settled in a motel and picked up the local newspaper and looked at the want ads, and there were houses for rent, and one particular phone number had 4 or 5 places, and so I gave a number a call, and the guy says, yes, I have several places for rent, why don't you meet me at this location, and we'll take a look at one. So the next day I go see him, and we take a look at the house, and it's a nice house, and so I like it. I figure it's a good fit for us, and I decided we're going to take it. So the house that we lived in San Diego was about 1,200 square feet, 3 small bedrooms, bath and a half, on about 4,000 square feet of mostly paved over or rose garden covered ground. It was a real tight squeeze. The house that I was about to sign the lease contract on was 2,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a 3-car garage, and 3/4 of an acre of ground. Now, the house in San Diego we were paying $1,800 a month rent for. The house that I was going to rent in Columbus cost $1,200 a month, so you can see the value in moving, and the house met with our objectives, and so I was going to go ahead and sign the lease. And so I'm sitting there at the landlord's house, I read over the lease contract, and I sign it and give it back to him, and he says, you may hear some things about me or read some things in the paper about me that aren't going to be very flattering. I'm like, okay. He says, the prosecutor, county prosecutor's office has got me under investigation for some real estate thing, and it's all just a personal vendetta, and when it comes out in court, it will, the truth will be revealed, and I will be exonerated. Great. Thanks for telling me that before I signed the lease, Anyway, about 8 or 9 months go by, and one day we get a knock on the door. I open the door, and it's a guy standing there with a camera on his shoulder and a woman with a microphone in her hand, and she shoves the microphone in my face, and she asks me, why are you stealing houses in this area? And I'm like, first off, I'm not who you think I am, and secondly, I don't talk to reporters, and I slam the door in her face. I called the landlord back, and I said, I just had a reporter show up at my house asking me why you're stealing houses around here. Oh, well, the prosecutor filed charges just today or yesterday, and so it's getting a lot more publicity now. Again, it'll all come out in court, and I'll be found innocent, and the truth will prevail. I'm like, right, okay. So 3 months go by, the end of the lease is up, and I'm not going to stay in this house one more second. I'm not going to spend one more dollar with this guy. I got to get the hell out of here. This guy's some sort of a con artist. I just don't know what kind of a con artist. And it turns out that he was helping, quote unquote, people out of their foreclosure misery by having them give them their house, and then he would contact the bank and straighten out the foreclosure problem, and he would pay off the note, and so their credit would be saved, and they could go on with their life without the embarrassment of a bankruptcy or foreclosure. Okay, what a nice guy. What he would do then is rent the houses, and sometimes back to the individual person that he got the house from, until such time as the sheriff's office knocked on the door with an order from originated from the bank to repossess the house. He would never contact the bank, just collect rent until the bank foreclosed. So I went to his house to collect my security deposit back, and he starts complaining about how he's being persecuted and so forth. And I said, Harry, I don't think you quite appreciate exactly what it is I do for a living. I said, I spent the last 10 years in real property public record data, assessor tax roll, and recorder transactional data. And I'm here to tell you that if I saw somebody quit-claimed or given 29 properties over the course of 3 years, I would investigate too. I can't imagine why it took 29 properties before they started investigating. I would have started at about 5 or 10, but do you understand why they started the investigation? Nobody is given 30 houses. Nobody. And I left. Turns out Harry was convicted, did 6.5 years in prison for obtaining properties through false writings, was convicted on 26 counts. So I guess the moral of the story here is to get to know the people that you're about to do business with, and especially when you're talking about people who you're renting from, or putting your family in a situation where safety or their comfort are potentially in a compromisable position. Do some research on the people you're going to do business with. In today's day and age, the recorder's office and the assessor's office keep those transactions available to the public online. You can actually go look it up. And I would encourage you, if you're going to rent from somebody, go look up their real estate history. See how many other properties they own. See how many transactions they've made. If a guy you're about to rent from is flipping houses on a routine basis, my guess is the house you're living in has got a lot of really shoddy work in it, and you're going to have a lot of times where the furnace is going to be out, or the plumbing is going to break, or what have you. Flippers don't tend to do a very good job. They're in it for the money, so they want to, they're churn and burn, do things as cheaply as possible. If you've got a landlord who's got all their properties in the bad part of town, except for, you happen to find the one good house, you might be dealing with some kind of a slumlord, and you might have problems in the relationship. If, like this guy, you find somebody who all his rental properties were given to him, maybe he's involved in some sort of shady dealings, and you don't really want to be in business with this guy. Anyhow, these things are available to you today, and I strongly encourage you, based on my own personal experience, to go take advantage of these things and do the research. Look these folks up and find out who you're doing business with before you sign on the dotted line. So, anyhow, that's my story. If you like the story, please subscribe or hit the like button. If you enjoy a good humorous and inspirational story from time to time, please subscribe to the channel. And if you know somebody who enjoys a good humorous and inspirational story, send them my way. Here at the Life Story channel. Thanks for listening.